Hey, Kyle, how's it going?
I'm well. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
I'm really excited to be talking to you. I feel like you've done a beautiful record as well as a frightening record. You're taking on a lot of big topics on here, but I see what you've done, and it's sort of a stroke because instead of just talking about these big topics, it seemed like you went for the people and the person in those moments.
I guess the muses said to me, listen, you have to stop reacting, Tori. That's not productive, not for you. Everybody has different ways of expressing themselves, but you need to do it through songs. And we're going to send you these songs, but you need to create a safe space. You need to be a safe space, T, because we're sending you a sonic secret garden, a sonic wildwood. And that means that within it, there'll be things that people can take from this sonic world, that may be resilience, maybe questions, but it's not going to be destructive. We're not planting destructive seeds, and we have to outcreate this destructive energy.
I was thinking, when you get online and everything, it's just so much noise that's happening when everyone's arguing, even amongst themselves. But with this record, it's almost like you could see the whites of their eyes. It's not just everyone screaming; it's actually a conversation, and I guess that's so important when you're
Well,
making art.
well, yes, because somebody said to me, I'm losing friends, and I've lost myself to being consumed on certain days. And I could feel the tears and the emotion, and it seemed to me, well, all right, we all have to remember that we're all creative forces. It might be that somebody's creative in the kitchen, or a gardener, or they write stories, or it could be many different ways of creating. But when somebody said, this friend, I'm losing this friend because I don't know who they are. They're so angry now. I can't find my friend anymore. And I found that incredibly heartbreaking. And those kinds of stories ended up in songs on Native Invader.
I mean, I've gone through the same stuff with my family. It was so weird and rough, beyond what I've ever experienced.
Papa said to me, my grandfather in the 60s, he said to me, we haven't recovered as a community, as a family, not just our family, but America hasn't recovered yet from the Civil War in the 19th century. And this is in the 60s, 100 years later. And that is really something that's come back, his voice telling me that. Because I haven't seen this energy in my life. I'm 54 now. And yes, in the late 60s, we had division and there were tensions and it was divisive. But there seems to be something else, a different quality, almost, whether it's fear-based, because hate usually is a place coming from fear. Fear of the other. Fear of something not a reflection of you. And I just remember Papa saying that. So I turned to the muses in times of crisis, that's for sure.
Well, speaking of crisis, I mean, there's a lot of this record that is about environmental crisis that could happen, that is happening. Does it add any weight that all this is coming out at the same time that something like Hurricane Harvey, has wreaked havoc over the South? I mean, is it one of those moments like, can't you see what's happening?
Well, we've all been watching from London, the tragedy of Houston and the other cities affected by Hurricane Harvey. And what you ask yourself, what will it take to get to people that we have to not deny anymore, that we are in crisis and we have to act. So that's just what we need to do now.
I mean, here in Kentucky, Louisville is a blue town in a red state, but it seems like we all band together. And no matter how big we shout, there's this one guy who just doesn't listen and nothing changes. And it's very frustrating. It makes me start thinking about the whole thing about, thinking globally, acting locally. It's just turning around and trying to fix the space that you're in.
Yes, but it seems as if our teenagers are waking up. And I take heart in that. After the states pulled out of the Paris Accord, Tash looked at me and just said, Mom, grown-ups are messing with my generation's future and could be killing our future. And I said, yes, I understand what you're saying. And she said to me, well, we have to do something. So we joined forces. She's singing on up the creek, and it was really inspiring to see the eyes and her passion, her commitment.
By the way, so we've been playing Up the Creek in like heavy rotation for 2 or 3 weeks already. And it wasn't until studying for this interview last night that I realized that she even sings on it. Like, I've heard that so many times, and it never hit me that that wasn't you. Your voices are so close.
Well, yeah, she starts the song. I'm the desert sister gal, but she's good Lord willing and the creek don't rise.
It's amazing how well you two blend together. I mean, now that I hear it, now that I know it, I completely hear it.
Well, we jam a lot together, if I'm honest with you. We enjoy jamming. And she'd been playing the acoustic guitar for a while, but she discovered her dad's pedals and his Marshall stack of speakers. And so she's been wailing on her electric guitar now. So her style is starting to change. It changed very quickly.
And by the way, props to your husband. The guitar playing on this is pretty mesmerizing as well. Is that also him on the Up the Creek as well?
Oh, yeah.
Just shreds in all the right moments. Like, playing with that title a little bit, I've heard you talk about it sort of in as much a positive light as a negative light. And it is interesting to play with it. And I dare use the word fun when we're talking about topics like this. But in this very specific sense, it is very fun to play with that title, especially when you're looking at it, nature versus historical human moments, but it all seems like it equals to we're killing ourselves.
Native invader, from different perspectives, means different things. Mary had a stroke, and that is a native invader, and there's no positive side to that. Tash is also a native invader, having sort of squatted in mommy condo for 9 months, rent-free. But that was a win-win, a symbiotic relationship. So sometimes, depending on what lens you're looking at the words native invader, it can seem like a paradox and that those two can't live together. But actually, we have to reinvade certain words like freedom, certain words like liberty. We have to reinvade, find their DNA, replant that DNA, those seeds, put them deep down into earth and let them take root.
It's hard to stay optimistic, but it sounds like you're optimistic, and I'm going to try to hold on to that.
You know what? We have to believe in the youth. Juliana versus the United States woke me up. The Benjamins woke me up. Benjamins can be women, young women, as well as young men. And they were sending me messages through people. Did I understand what was going on? Did I really understand? Not about one person or two people, but did I understand the consequences for our planet, for our youth, for ourselves, clean water, what that means? And so what has encouraged me, Kyle, is that the youth are waking up and are taking their planet back. Yeah. The militia of the mind, they are rising. Yeah. I'm encouraged by them. I'm encouraged by their commitment to their planet and their philosophy and responsibility, choosing. They're going to make life choices. They are going to. And what I'm seeing is they're making choices because they want a healthy planet. It is a crisis point. They know they're in crisis. But what I'm seeing is they want to act and want to make a change and be that change.
Well, powerful words, and I think that's a good place to kind of wrap it up here, too. I really appreciate talking to you today, Tori, and you taking the time. And this record, like I said, is just fantastic. I've loved every bit of it.
Thank you, Kyle. Thanks for having me.
No problem, and we'll see you around.
Okay, rock on.
All right, take care. Bye.